Hello vinyl community, this is Mike, the vinyl PC31, the vinyl policeman, and I'm going to go through my February pickups. It's been quite a busy month, and Mrs. PC31's not very impressed with the amount I bought this month, so I'll go through them pretty quickly because there are quite a few. But a few quick shout outs first. JT's Record Room. JT is fast approaching 1,000 subs, but he needs another little kick to get him over that magical 1,000. JT's recently had a room reorganisation, so inspired me to do the same. So I've got a different backdrop, sorted out the room completely, and it may well be I'll do a room tour video fairly soon, because there's some great stuff I'd like to show you, which is just off camera. Beetle Heaven over there, which you can't see, and so I'm pleased with that. So JT's Record Room, give him a sub please. And Nick's Vinyl Butty. Nick shows some great videos, very funny. He starts off in the car sometimes and he's back at home going through things. But Nick's Vinyl Butty, well worth subbing to, so please do that. Right, first one to go through. Richard McCook did a ranking of Adamant's albums, and clue in the background there. But he did a ranking of Adamant's albums, and I really like Adamant, and I've got the first 3 albums. But I then kind of moved into other things, perhaps a bit heavier, and just moved away from him. But I really enjoyed Richard's ranking of his albums, and said to Richard, what should be the next album I try and seek out? And he said Viva La Rock. So I bought Viva La Rock. I managed to track it down. Just a fantastic album. Really great album. September '85, it was Adamant's 3rd solo album. And it was a couple of months after Live Aid in '85, and just reading a few extracts from Adamant's autobiography, he should have had 3 songs like everybody did, I think, on the day. And Mr. International Mega Rockstar Bob Geldof, Brutal Rats, overran his time, and poor Adamant got 1 song. And he played Viva La Rock, the title track from this album. But it's quite interesting because he said at that time he was gaping in awe watching from the sidelines. He watched Bowie, who was one of his absolute heroes, if not his hero. And he said that when he saw Bowie play his set at Live Aid, he had such a long way to go personally with his career. So that was pretty honest of him. But Adamant absolutely loved Bowie and Mark Boland. And he got the opportunity with this album to work with Tony Visconti, obviously Bowie Boland producer for so many records, and worked with him. Interesting, because apparently throughout the whole of the making of this, Adamant wanted to get the EQ more trebly, and Tony Visconti wanted to make it more bassy. And listening to the album, I think Adamant won, because when I play this, I've always got to turn the EQ, got to bring the bass up a little bit. But it's a fantastic album. There's great tracks on it. Viva La Rock, How's 8 Acres, POA, Apollo 9, Starter Side 2 is just a fantastic track. Absolutely brilliant. Just a final thing, I've spoken too much on this one, but just a final thing on POA. The lyrics of that one kind of ring true a bit today. Damn your eyes, Mr. Khrushchev, don't go dropping bombs on here. Because if you start dropping bombs over here, we're going to have to drop some bombs over there. So, say no more. Next album up, Adamant. Spoke far too long on that one. But the next one up is the wonderful B52's. And album I picked up. I've got quite a few of theirs, but I was missing this one. And this is a great album. 1980s, second album of theirs. Private Idaho, Party Out of Bounds, Give Me Back My Man. Really terrific album. Never tire of the vocals of Cindy, Kate and Fred. Tremendous. And the alternative tune-ins. This is when the 5 was still together, the original 5 of B52's. Great album. Next album is one which I was watching Gary, Physical Format Rock and Roll's, one of his videos a little while ago, and he mentioned this band. He purchased a box set and he produced this album. He had this album playing in the background. I've never heard of War before, and the track he was playing, Cisco Kid, just a fantastic track. So I thought I've got to buy that. So I managed to track this one down during the month and haven't been disappointed. Really good album. From a genre point of view, checked it out. Psych soul, funk rock, afro roots, prog soul, called all different things, but terrific album, really good. Thank you, Gary. Next album is one which I'm name dropping a lot of people tonight because still fairly new to the vinyl community, but when I watch you guys and girls videos, I learn so much and I'm inspired to do things. And this is one which again mentioned Richard McCook on his last contest. One of the questions he asked was, what album have you got on one of the albums on CD which you'd love to have on vinyl? So Mark Hesford and Crate Diggers of the World Unite and Play Vinyl in the Milky Night, Mike from there, both said to me, just go and buy it, because they know I love Killing Joke. They said, just go and buy it, you got to do it. So I did as I was told. And I bought this one in February. This is the one with 2003, Dave Grohl plays the drums. This is the one where Killing Joke wanted to bring in about 3 different drummers to play through the album. Dave Grohl heard the demo tapes and he said, I'm doing the lot. And he didn't charge Killing Joke anything for it. He just wanted to do it. And the other great thing about this album for me is I love Andy Gill of Gang of Four, and he produced this album. So really good Killing Joke album, 2003. So the next one onto the show was Eddie and the Hotrods from 1976, Teenage Depression. Eddie and the Hotrods, quite a famous London band, very pub rock, 1976. And in the British music press, a lot of people consider them to be the link in this country in England, Britain, between pub rock and punk rock, because their songs are very hard driving R&B, but with a real punk attitude. So this is a really energetic album, very good album. Teenage Daydream, 1976. Next one, 1980, the debut album with Dexy's Midnight Runners. A lot of my friends have got this album and go mad about it. 1980. This is the album with Gino on, and this is before they became a lot more commercial. Come On Eileen, etc. As I say, I've got friends who absolutely love this album, so I thought I've just got to add this to the collection, and I gave it a good play last Sunday, and it's a good album. So it's a very good album. Birmingham band. It's kind of Northern Soul inspired, new wave, bit punky, but yeah, very Northern Soul-y. As I say, Birmingham band, Dexy's Midnight Runners. The next one will be familiar to all. I picked up during the month, because it came out during the month, Wings' first album, half-speed mastered copy of Wildlife. And Paul McCartney and Wings. Wings at this stage were Paul and Linda, Denny Saw drums and Denny Lane. Denny Saw drums and Denny Lane. And they recorded this in 8 days at Abbey Road. So it's a very live feeling album, very, very first take sort of album. But I really like it. It's quite a raw album, quite basic, but I think it's terrific. The title track, Wildlife, I think is a fantastic track. Really, really good. A great groove to the track. Lyrics are great. I've always liked it. I think it's a very underrated one. Next album, which I picked up just on Sunday, I think it was, at a record fair. Psych Band, Spaceman 3. Spaceman 3, this is Sound of Confusion, 1986 album. Their psych, space rock, neo-psych, some people call them. On this particular album, it's half covers and half originals. There's Stooges, Little Doll, and 13th Floor Elevators, Roller Coaster. They cover that one as well. There's a few others as well. It's very kind of distorted guitars, minimal chord changes, minimal tempo changes, lots of phase shifting pedals kind of thing. Classic Psych from 1986. but they're a interesting band, very interesting band. The next one from 1980, their second album, picked up The Cure, and quite interesting because this particular album, I mean, my favourites of The Cure have always been Pornography and Disintegration. I think Disintegration is a superb album, but this is an interesting one because this was considered a really early, if not the first example of goth rock, and this introduced a lot of other things. The Final Sound, one of the, I think could be the last track on the album, is very, very gothic, very, very gothic track. Yeah, and this one was also recorded and mixed in 7 days. So from 1980, The Cure's second album. Then we go to, I told you there were a lot, folks, a busy month, February. Love Bites, the Buzzcocks, from 1978. Some people say this is a new wave, but it's very punk for me. I think it's a punk album. Big track from this, Ever Fallen in Love with Someone. Pete Shelley, Steve Diggle. Really good Buzzcocks album. Must have in the collection, I think. Picked up another one from the B52's, which I didn't have. I was pleased to get. I picked this up on Sunday at a record fair. And it's what was meant to be their third album, Mesopotamia. They wrote loads of tracks for this, and David Byrne was going to, we did produce it, but they fell out with David Byrne and with the record company during the making of it, and they only recorded 6 tracks, so they still wanted to release it, so they released it as an EP, so it's only 6 songs on it. But again, you got those fantastic voices, just that classic B52's sound, which I just can't get enough of. I think it's fantastic. So looking for that one for a while. So next two, there's a band that I've liked for a long time, many decades actually, Magazine. And Magazine's first album, which was 1978, Real Life, I've owned for many years, but for some reason I stopped there. I didn't get others, and but recently I've managed to pick up one from 1980, The Correct Use of Soap. So Magazine, Harry Devoto, who used to be in the Buzzcocks I've just mentioned there, he left the Buzzcocks and he wanted to do something a bit more progressive, a bit more new wave, and he created Magazines with John McKeough, and this was 1980. But I also picked up a couple of weeks ago, middle of February, Magic, Murder and the Weather. So Magazine, really interesting indie band, new wave band. A box set I picked up during February, and I won't go into massive detail on this one because Jamie Cottle, the great Jamie Cottle, really enjoy his channel. He did a really good unboxing of this particular one, which inspired me to buy this box set actually, because I buy a lot of Bowie, but the box sets can get really expensive. I've got a couple of them, but not all of them. But he did a great unboxing of Toy, and when I saw that and Jamie started to go through it all, I thought, oh, that's a beautiful box. So I managed to track it down for a good price. This is 6 10-inch records, and it's basically the original tracks that Bowie recorded from 64 through to 71, and he re-recorded them just before he wrote and toured Heathen in 2000. So he had the band together, Al Slick, Gowland Dorsey, the rest of the band he was touring with at the time, and he took those 1964-71 tracks, one of those original ones that he'd done in kind of an Anthony Newley type style at the time, and they re-recorded it in a real modern Heathen year 2000 Bowie way, and produced Toy. But there was lots of delays with the record company at the time. Bowie wanted to just release it as a surprise album, but it never came out at the time, and he just moved on to Heathen, got really into the material he was writing for that and the band, and started planning the tour. So Toy was shelved, until now. So it's just come out now. But it's a beautiful box set, small box set. I mean, as I say, I won't go through it in detail because Jamie Cottle's done a fantastic thing of that. But if you see that, it's a beautiful, that's the booklet that goes with it. And gorgeous thing. And the final thing to show you, yes, I've been very impressed with February, but Mrs. PC31 hasn't. Although she does like a lot of the pickups I've got during February. This is an album which I will speak a lot more of this guy in future videos, and I will do a separate video because it's so fantastic. A guy called Adrian Borland, who passed away in 1999. Just a really terrific musician, songwriter, and he had a band called The Sound, and they played throughout the 80s and produced some fantastic albums. When The Sound packed up, he had several other projects he got involved with, White Rose Transmission, various things. But this one, the Honolulu Mountain Daffodils, he got together, all the names of the band on this, the guys he got together with, all pseudonyms. Adrian Borland's name is Joachim Pinto, and they made this album, 2 others, 3 albums in total and 1 EP. Really hard to track down, but they're great, edgy albums, a little bit industrial, just quite edgy albums, quite difficult to describe the music actually. The cover's interesting as well, because what they wanted to do was they wanted to put out a cover which looked as if the record had been sitting in a shop window of a charity shop for about 5 years in the sunlight and it had been faded. So this is in pristine condition, this particular album, and that's how it came out. But they're very, very difficult albums to track down. But if you can get hold of some Honolulu Mountain Daffodils, I'd recommend. Really good. Adrian Borland, and I will do a video for that soon. That's it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed that, and March has started quite well as well, so I shall see you for another set of pickups in a month's time. Take care.